The Woods of Somerset, Kentucky, Part 2, by you/ScaryStormy. This was sent to me from Chuck. It was in the first part of The Woods of Somerset, Kentucky. He isn't on Reddit, but he wanted to share another event from Somerset. Hey guys, Chuck here from the story told by ScaryStormy, called The Woods of Somerset, Kentucky. I just wanted to drop in and tell you all that the depiction of our grassroots was very accurate, and I believe expertly described the tone of that godforsaken place. While it is unfortunate that in our ages since adolescence we've all moved to our respective nooks of the country, I find solace in listening to the stories of past adventures. And while fewer and farther between each year, it seems our reunions are fantastic and pick up as though we haven't skipped a beat. With that said, however, hearing this tale has brought up a dark past and reminded me still of another story. Hearing this tale has brought up a dark past and reminded me of another story that happened at our local hangout, Mark's house. A story that still sits with me to this day. The day I saw Mark. Except, not really. Another Mark. One I truly hope to never see again. So if you'd be so kind as to listen to my little story of days long past and better forgotten. And thanks again, story, for the fantastic nightmares I'm sure to endure. I give you the tale of the other Mark. It was a cold night in the dead of fall. We had gone over to Mark's house as we typically would. Me, Brendan, and our friend Sean. We were doing the normal gaming until dawn routine, hyped up on our Red Bulls and whatever snacks we could harvest from the pantry. Somewhere in between the hours, long sessions of kicking each other's asses at Soul Calibur for the fourth weekend in a row, I heard my phone go off from across the room. The faint buzz slightly catching my attention, just enough to snap me out of the game and read the text I would regret. See, I had quite a few family issues, and tonight, while I was away, I received notice that something had happened and I would be moving again. Custody battles are quite rough after all, at the age where you feel like you're an adult but still have so much to learn. I immediately was put into a very bad mood. I tried to get back into the game, but with so much going on inside my head, I knew I needed to get some fresh air. Now, as Stormy put it, we were definitely horror aficionados back in the day, and still am to this day. Being an angsty little emo middle schooler, I had no qualms with being outside alone no matter how dark it was. In some ways, it was comforting. I began to stand there, taking in the brisk night air. I decided at that moment I was done with my family. They never understood me anyway. It would be better if I just disappear. Stepping back inside to get my shoes, I saw Brendan and Sean waiting patiently for me to return. I informed them that I would be leaving. I didn't know where I was going, and I didn't really care either. I planned to walk somewhere far, far away. Checking the clock before I slid back out the door, I noticed that it was midnight. I took the gravel driveway heading to the main road on foot. I could hear my friends shouting for Mark as I stepped off the front porch amongst them, shuffling to get their shoes on to pursue me. I quickened my pace. I didn't want to be convinced to stay. Mark had something on the stove and had to shut off the burner, informing his sisters to watch it and he'd be right back. I'd made some decent space between myself and Brendan and Sean, Mark even further behind. I was making my way down the dark winding road when I had come to one of the only 3 streetlights for miles. Nestled right in a large bend in the road where I heard rustling from the bushes. Assuming it was a deer, as many of them tend to roam the roads freely at night, I tried not to pay it any attention. That's when I saw it. 2 arms reached out and pulled their way into my view. It was Mark. It's somehow been the first one to catch up to me. Confused, I asked, "Mark, how the hell did you get here so fast?" And that's when I realized he wasn't wearing his glasses. His face looked like it had been cut up by some briars, and he had bruises all along his arms. I called out to him, asking if he was okay, and he just looked at me squinting. Standing under the fluorescent glow of the only light source, he spoke to me. The voice that came out sounded like Mark, but also like another person was speaking right at the same time. He had a wheeze every few words, and that's when my blood ran cold. He said to me, "Chuck, I need your help. Come quick." I was so put off I could hardly comprehend what it was that was going on. I was almost incapable of moving. I then heard the thing say, "Just back here. I need to show you something." I let out a hesitated, "Yeah, I'll be right there." I saw him begin to slink back into the bushes where he had emerged from. Just then, I heard the flopping of sneakers against the pavement. I realized that my friends had caught up to me by that point. And I didn't care. In an instant, it all clicked together. The bend of the road was illuminated because it was a very dangerous curve. You see, just beyond the bushes, there's a large drop-off with no guardrail. It leads down to a pond that's a good 30-foot drop. And I knew that he couldn't have come from that way. With every fiber of my being, I turned around and started screaming for my friends to run. They were confused, but they listened, and we all booked it back to the house. As we were sprinting for our sanctuary, we ran into Mark on the way. And upon reaching the front porch, I had so much weight lifted from my shoulders. My friends all gathering around me, asking what happened, what I saw. I told them. I saw Mark, but not really. Another Mark. None of them had been close enough to see the figure that had shaken me to my core. I did my best to explain what I'd seen, and to this day, I don't really know if any of them believed me. Maybe the light had tricked me. Maybe my emotional state caused me to imagine it all. After a few puffs of the inhaler that I kept on me, I was able to breathe again. I'd given up any attempt of running away. I definitely didn't want to see whatever that thing was again. We tried to settle back in and fired up a game of Gears of War 2 before deciding to finally go to bed in the living room. We would all sleep on the couch or on a spare mattress Mark had lying around. At about 3 a.m., everyone was asleep, but I was still wide awake, recounting the events and how bizarre it had all seemed. I began thinking it might have been a hallucination after all. That's when I began hearing the tapping on the back door. I pretended like I was asleep, but opened my eyes just enough to see a dark figure the same height as Mark, illuminated by the glow of a kitchen light. I saw him, head down, tapping the glass with one finger. I darted under the blanket and closed my eyes, wishing it would stop. I don't remember how long it went. I don't even remember falling asleep that night. But when I finally woke up the next day, I had noticed, however, from the railing of his 10-foot tall back porch, there was a path as though someone had walked through the pile of leaves. The trail led right up to Mark's back door. There was a decent amount of time before I would agree to go back to Mark's house, and still to this day, when I think of it, I shudder. Hello there, YouTube. Stormy here. I hope you enjoyed tonight's story. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe and comment down below what you liked about it. And if there are any more stories that you would like me to do, make sure to comment those down below as well, and I will be more than glad to check them out. Now, you folks have a wonderful night, and I hope to see you in the next video. If we all survive.